Now, Mr. Meadows, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Runcie, I'm going to come directly to you. The oral testimony, Ms. Emery, was kinder than perhaps the written testimony that I role is more oversight, not as much on the policy side of things. So how much do we pay out in improper every year?
Well, we have improper payment estimates, right? So we don't actually make payouts, right? So, for instance, we have...
But you have oversight, you're the COO, and so as we look at the improper payments, how much do the American taxpayers, can they recognize in terms of improper payments?
So improper payments, there are two categories. There are direct loans and Pell.
Combined, what's the total?
The combined total is about $1.8 billion of estimated improper payments. That's done through sampling techniques, and we look at we look at information, and then we extrapolate that it would be 1 point.
I've only got 5 minutes, so let me interrupt you. If that's your official testimony, I guess my question is how do you know? Because you've changed the methodology, didn't you, Mr. Runcie, and how you evaluated improper payments?
That methodology was approved by OMB. So
you changed it in fiscal year 2013.
That's right.
And then the improper payments amount doubled. Is that correct? That's the information I have.
We changed
from about $2 billion to about $4 billion.
No, it's about $2 billion. I'm not sure the time frame that you're talking about, but the estimated improper payment.
How many times have you changed the way that you figure improper payments, Mr. Runcie?
Once since I've been at FSA. So we changed it.
Well, I'm going to give you a chance to check with your folks behind you because I have information that would indicate you've changed it twice.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that when we change the improper payment methodology, it's based upon some analysis that we do. That analysis was, we had some disagreement in terms of the appropriateness of that.
I'd say major disagreement, so let me go on a little bit further. So let me interrupt because I need to get to an answer here.
Okay.
Here's my concern. You have improper payments of about $2 billion under a scenario that you're, and I'm rounding off.
That's right.
You change the scenario after that same method of calculating it showed that you had $4 billion in improper payments, and you go retroactively to OMB and say, we want a new process to be able to evaluate that. Is that, in general terms, how it worked?
The OMB, my understanding is OMB is the authority. If they sign off on it, it is
I agree.
valid and it's appropriate.
All right, so are you following OMB guidelines?
OMB
Be careful how you answer.
OMB has approved the methodology that we use.
Are you using their approved methodology?
We are using it. That's what we use for 2015 and 2014.
So let me ask you this then. Their methodology, from what I understand, would include a sample size of 300, and yet according to the information I have, you're only analyzing 79 cases, which is statistically not accurate. It's not even following what OMB has indicated. Are my numbers correct?
I don't have the numbers.
Ms. Tai, are they correct?
Yes, FSA originally went to OMB with a sample size of about 311 reports. I believe they did get permission to, when they realized they weren't going to have that sample size, they went and got permission to use draft reports, but that dropped them to about 90 reports instead of 311.
Yeah, I show 79 plus 21, so is the numbers that I show. So, Mr. Runcie, let me tell you why I'm troubled by this. Let's put it in education terms. It's like a student is going through and taking an SAT, and we're getting certain trends, and then all of a sudden we don't like the trends we see, and we change the goalposts, we change the way that we do the methodology so that the SAT scores look a little bit better. Would you not agree that that's what the Department of Education has done?
We're a performance-based organization. We have an obligation to continue to refine and innovate and look at the best practices.
In the 24 seconds I have left, at what point will you start to comply with the OMB guidance on how we're to have a sample size with 300? At what point are you going to do
The
that?
methodology that we use has been approved by OMB.
Okay, that's your testimony. All right, here's what I would ask you to do is report back to this committee with OMB and see if they're in compliance. And I would ask the Inspector General and GAO to see if they concur with your decision, and I appreciate the patience of the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Meadows. Ms. Plaskett, you're recognized for 5 minutes.